Comic Book Savant, episode 413. Welcome back to the Comic Book Savant podcast. I'm your host, James Harris. This episode is going to be a spoiler-filled review for Season 2 of Marvel's The Punisher on Netflix. So if you haven't had a chance to watch Season 2 yet, you want to stop this now. You can go, you can go over to youtube.com / Comic Book Savant. You can see a non-spoiler review that I do on Season 2 there, if you're on the fence if you want to watch the season or not. And then once you watch Season 2, you can come back and check out this review. So I just wanted to give that spoiler warning up front so you didn't get caught up and get anything ruined for you and you'd be blaming me for it later. So definitely, again, you can check out the non-spoiler review of Season 2 over on youtube.com / Comic Book Savant. So again, if you haven't watched Season 2, this is your final warning. Let's pause this, come back to it after you've watched Season 2. With all that being said, just want to give a shout out to my friend and co-host on the Spinner Rack Bros podcast, which is Heath Holland. Definitely check out his content over at Serial at Midnight. He has the website, serialatmidnight.com, which is the main hub for all his stuff. Then he also has the YouTube channel, which is youtube.com / Serial. I think it's Serial at Midnight as well. I have the links on the links page on the website. So, and last week's episode, I was talking about him launching his Patreon campaign. So definitely, if you haven't, if you only at this point heard him here on Spinner Rack Bros and episodes that I've done with him on them, definitely check out the YouTube channel on the website. He talks about all things travel, movies, music, collecting physical media. He goes way more in depth in it than I am because we know most of the stuff I collect now is digital, but he still collects physical media. He does a great job. Check out his Patreon campaign as well as mine. We both would love your support. And he just does great content. He's been on YouTube a little bit longer. He's kind of been coaching me along, helping me kind of build up my momentum and steam over on YouTube. But he's been doing the site for, quite a couple of years now. So he does full-blown articles. So if you like reading articles on music reviews, he also, because of the name Serial at Midnight, he does like serial reviews as well. And he does videos on them as well. But then he does full, in-depth written reviews too on the website. Which is just great, well-rounded content. And I just wanted to give a shout out to my brother from another mother and what he's doing, the great work he's doing over on his website and his YouTube channel before I got into the episode. With all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this review of The Punisher Season 2. As of this recording, I just wanted to say this off the top. As of this particular recording, we haven't heard any information from Netflix that they're canceling this show yet. We know all the other Netflix Marvel shows to date were canceled about a week or two after they premiered. So I haven't seen anything come across the board just yet. Not saying that it won't, not saying that it will. It just seems like it's a pattern at this point that Netflix is trying to pretty much clear their slate of all the Marvel series coming up this coming year, and that all the show seasons that were this was their last seasons of productions across the board, because Daredevil to date, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, all have been canceled. Defenders, once Defenders came out, that was dead in the water. So the only thing that's left at this point is The Punisher, which just premiered, and Jessica Jones, which is coming out later this year. They haven't set a specific release date, but we know it's either being shot or has been shot already. So time will tell how that all pans out in the end. But with all that being said, I have to say this about Season 2. I enjoyed Season 2. I didn't enjoy it as much as season one, but just by a little bit. I think season one just was done so well. And I didn't like everything of season two of Daredevil that featured the Punisher. So I had a lot of skepticism going in. I liked John Bernthal as Punisher. So, and it really worked for me. I think it really caught me off guard, and I just really fell in love with it. And I love the chemistry that he had with the different castmates they brought in. I purposely didn't go too deep in learning too much before. I didn't watch a lot of the ads and things of that nature. Just wanted to know when it was going to come out because I knew I was going to watch the whole thing. So I kind of jumped in pretty blind. They made it evident that Jigsaw was going to be, Billy Russo was coming back. Ben Barnes as Billy Russo / Jigsaw. They did kind of reveal that right before, a week or so, right before the show premiered. So we kind of knew that, but we knew that at the end of season one that he was going to be back. And I have to say, going into it, the performances from everyone from top to bottom, John Bernthal as Frank Castle, I mean, he is now hands down my definitive Punisher. Like, he adds so much to the role, and he has that balance of being dark with that twinge of when it's a need for levity, you can mix in some comedy with it, and he has as much as an intensity he brings to the Punisher, because the Punisher is like the most intense, determined character like in the Marvel Universe. I think next to Spider-Man, as far as just pure determination. He's always going to keep coming. You're not going to keep him down for too long, which is one characteristic I think that always attracted me to the Punisher is his determination. He embodies that so well with an intensity, but yet a charming softness when need be. I thought Ben Barnes was good as Billy Russo. I thought his Billy Russo was a little bit better in season one, but I don't really count it much against him as it is the writing. I think the script, they had as the season went on and seeing how certain storylines were portrayed, I kind of felt like this season didn't necessarily need it to be, and this was my concern coming out of Daredevil, was could Punisher hold up a whole 13 episode season? I felt like the first season was perfect. But it was more streamlined and tighter writing wise. Where here it felt like they had some base concepts that they try to build a whole season around, and I felt like his character kind of got wasted in the end because I didn't feel like he had nearly as much impact on events than he did in the first season at all. And at points, I felt like how he was written, he was kind of like an afterthought at times too. I wanted to see him more in the spotlight because I think Ben Barnes had a really good handle on the character and in his relationship with Frank as well as Curtis. I thought that would be played up more than it was. It was talked about a lot, but it wasn't as much going on there as it was between the first season and how close and stuff they were. So I feel like the writing failed him, not the actor failed the character in that sense. I did like that we saw Jason R. Moore, Curtis. He got a lot more spotlight, and he really fleshed out his character more. The addition of the Amy character, which was played by, how do I pronounce her name correctly? Jagoria Wingham. I'm not familiar with her. Her character annoyed me a little bit in the beginning. She really grew on me as the season went on. I really dug her relationship with Frank throughout the season, and seeing their relationship and connection kind of grow. That was really cool. I liked seeing Madani back. I felt like a lot of the season, I liked the premise of her overall story arc, where she was kind of going through, she wasn't kind of going through, she was going through PTSD And then she was contemplating, was she doing the right thing by still being with the FBI, knowing everything she knew and all the things that kind of went sideways and all the kind of side shady deals they had to make. And, she was having a crisis of conscience kind of thing. I dug that. I really like John Pilgrim. I think the writing, the scripting throughout the season kind of let him down. Josh Stewart did a really good job with that character, but I felt like, again, kind of like with Jigsaw, they had these two co-villains, and, normally some of the Netflix shows kind of follow a pattern. It's like you get one villain the first 6 episodes, then, that storyline's kind of resolved, and then the other storyline picks up. They did it a little bit different where they mix and match, and each one of them shared kind of screen time, even though John's character was featured very heavily like the first half of the season. Then he was an afterthought, and it seemed like it was way more there. And it just seemed like the writers did not, like I said, they had good concepts of ideas of things they wanted to do and plot lines that they wanted to feature, but they weren't balanced at all. And I felt like it was so much more to do with this, just like with Billy, with John's character, and he kind of was forgot. He was like such a badass BA character in the beginning of the season, and it kind of tailed off towards the end till he, certain things happened. He was a shell of himself, and it just tailed off, and he had such a big presence for much of the season, and then just how it tapered off. This was disappointing because the actor did such a good job with the character. So, I don't know. It was I feel like the writing definitely wasn't as strong this season when it came to those areas, keeping all the characters developed, because I feel like the writing helped Curtis's character because he was fleshed out more. The introduction of Amy and how her character grew, and Frank, they were handled well. Also Royce Johnson as Brett Mahoney, they did a great job with him, and he got a bigger role in this season. Those characters were balanced, and the other ones kind of weren't. And we saw Madani a lot, especially in the beginning of the season, and she didn't have much to do. They gave her more. You just saw the trauma that she was kind of going through, and I would have liked to seen her do more in those times, like maybe work a case, and the PTSD played a bigger part in seeing her on the job and a little bit more, and seeing how everything affected her. We saw how, she, because of the story that was spun, like she was, the lead at her office. People thought she was this, super cool agent, but she felt the complete opposite. She was kind of oblivious to it all. She didn't fit anymore. She was responsible for the death of her partner. A lot of people died behind the decision she made in the first season, and it was just very hard for her to deal with. So to see her more interacting with her job, instead of, we constantly seeing her at home, like waking up to these visions and these nightmares and these thoughts of Billy were interesting, but it needed to be more substance there. To see why she ultimately made the decision of leaving the FBI at the end and going over to the CIA. It was a lot. And here's the thing, because I love the actress, Florina Lima. She played Krista Dumont, which was Billy's. I guess she was his muse, kind of in this season, because she was his therapist. Then, he captured her to help him escape, and then, he was staying with her, and then they kind of got in a relationship. I felt like way too much time was given and focus was given to that, where I rather had seen that time used to on John, on Billy as a villain, and him doing villain stuff. It got way into his mindset, and he did some cool things with memories and the whole Jigsaw thing. He wasn't as much Jigsaw appearance-wise as it was more a mental state of mind, which was cool. But I just think it lingered, and I liked her, seeing her in a big show like Punisher. She was on Supergirl, And she's been a good character actress. I've seen her on numerous things, but as far as comic book related stuff, she was on a season or 2 of Supergirl as a romantic interest for Supergirl's sister, Alex. So I really dig her, and it was interesting seeing her kind of in a different light in The Punisher, but I felt like it was way too much screen time given to that whole situation, which the already established characters that time could have went to. I felt like half of the screen time dedicated to that whole situation and their relationship and her background, like half of that could have been cut and given to more of the main characters. And I'd rather have seen Billy be not so much as in a mental instability, as the mental instability made him lash out even more as a villain, because I felt like that was the component that was missing. He was a villain maybe only 10 to 15% of the time in the season, where, they did the duality thing in the first season where, he's a friend, he's a good guy, he's back in town. And then when the turn comes, like when he goes full villain, like he's full villain. And I thought with him being so mentally unstable that he would have been that times 2 in this season, which we only got to see glimpses of. We never really got him full on, like what I would imagine Billy as Jigsaw to be, which was a disappointment for me. I enjoyed Karen Page's character in her cameo kind of episode or 2 in this season. I love her. I don't like her in Daredevil. I like her interaction with John Bernthal, the Frank Castle character. The Karen Page Frank Castle relationship, how it was constructed on these Netflix series, really works. And I said it multiple times before, I feel like the Karen Page character works so much better in Punisher for me than it ever did in Daredevil. So I would have wanted more of her in this season than what we got. And again, it goes back to with the whole Billy and the psychiatrist thing. I could have had less of that and could have had more of Deborah and Wool in this season. It would have enhanced it. I felt like it was lacking because she's such a big part of his life that you had to have her in this season more. She was in the first season more than what she was in this season. I felt. I could be wrong as far as exact screen time, but I would have liked to see her have more impact in this season than what she had. The action scene, I can't complain about the action scenes. They're top notch. They kept all that up. The gunplay, the fighting set pieces, the action set pieces across the board. I mean, from the very first episode, the action was like bananas. And they make it, it's just not violence for violence sake. They did cool things where, the first season was very graphic and gruesome at parts. I felt like they did a great job here, balancing that, and even at points that they would cut away from something that would be like super over the top, maybe gruesome, where they didn't so much maybe in the first season. They kind of lightened that up where it needed to be, but it was still, don't get me wrong, it was still some violence, but it was like beautiful violence. Like it was like John Wick violence, like where you can't like turn away. You marvel in how well it is put together and shot on screen. And really seeing John like go full at it as the Punisher. And I mean, I like it. I do. I love the part where like he's getting shot, and it's such a Punisher thing, which doesn't sometimes translates well in a comic, but he does it, like, cause you always see him gritting and groaning, but like to really hear John, like at times he's getting shot and he's like, come on. And he's like, I freaking, it's crazy, but I love it because it's so much the Punisher. Like, I'm taking these bullets. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to keep coming after you till I kill you. So come on, like, that's all you got? And like where he literally says it, when you're reading the comic, you feel that's like how he is, but the translation of the drawn image to seeing it translated into the actual action on the screen, it just nails it so perfectly. I just love it. Like, I definitely, when all this is said and done, I definitely want to pick up, I'll probably pick up all these shows digitally at some point to go back and watch them. If, I don't know if they will stay on the Netflix service, so you can go back and enjoy them, but I would go back. This is the quintessential and I really wish we could get these characters. I don't even care about the TV shows. It's neither here nor there at this point. They've been canceled, whatever. But these actors, I felt like they did such a great job casting these actors, and they deserve it. Just like the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. People can say what they want, and they've crapped on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's a shame that Marvel haven't utilized so many of these great characters through the Netflix series and the TV shows into the movies. I want to see, I don't even know how it would work, but I want to see Jon Bernthal's Punisher in the Marvel Universe. I want to see it. He's so much the Punisher. And if they ever introduce a Punisher element in the MCU movies down the road, I just don't see who else they can get that would be pitch perfect as Jon Bernthal is to be the Punisher in those movies. I just don't know. It's just like Michael Coulter as Luke Cage, or Christian Ritter as Jessica Jones, maybe they can recast Finn Jones as Iron Fist. We ain't even gonna go there, but he got better. Like they just nailed these characters so well, and I just want to see them on the big screen. I think it'd be so cool because I think they did such a good job, just like they did great casting with the MCU characters. As far as in the films, they did a great job casting these. You can't deny that in any of the shows. Even our girl, the one that plays Colleen Wing and the detective Misty Knight, like, man, I wish they could be in the movies, man. So good. That's the thing that hurts me as a fan, coming out of these shows being canceled, that maybe the time will pass before, maybe, I don't know how we none of us know how those deals work as far as the rights and being able to reuse those characters and how long they might have to wait, and will those actors move on to different stuff. So could you just recast them in the same roles and then start putting them in the movies, or how that whole thing works, because the casting is so good. That's the thing that hurts the most. But what else did I want to say? I just think everything else was amazing. Like I said, I don't think there's anything else that I want to really say about season 2. Now I wanted to break down my ranking, because I always try to rank the Netflix shows each time we get a new season in these episodes. So I have to go I'm going to go worst to first. For me, the worst season is still Iron Fist season 1. Next is going to be Defender season 1. Next is Daredevil season 2. Next for me is Luke Cage season 2. Next is Jessica Jones season 1. Next is The Punisher season 2. Next is Daredevil season 3. Next is Jessica Jones season 2. Next is Iron Fist season 2. After that is Luke Cage season 1. And my favorite or best Marvel Netflix show is Daredevil season 1. Still has the top spot. And before I did that, I did not tell you what I had ranked this episode, this season of Punisher. I gave it a required viewing rating, which was an 8.75 out of 10. And I based these solely on, I went back to make this fair as possible, because sometimes your thoughts or opinions might change on a season, but I solely based the rankings on from worst to first based on, at the time I reviewed the particular seasons. I went back into my notes and I saw the numeric score that I gave each season, and I ranked it from the worst score to the best score, and that's how it came out. To keep it fair and honest, because sometimes people do a list like this and they'll change up stuff. But that's purely based on the numerical ranking that I gave those seasons at the time I watched and reviewed them. For my initial thoughts, the list might be slightly different based on just my thoughts now, but I wanted it to keep it as pure and honest as possible, so I went with that. So that's where I ranked them from, again, worst to first. Worst being Iron Fist season 1. My first place or best one is Daredevil season 1. Still for me is tops. That's all I really have for you guys for this episode. I just wanted to give my deep down spoiler thoughts on season 2 of The Punisher. Again, no official word as of the recording. As I'm recording this right now, nothing has been dropped about Punisher being canceled. Right now, go be it. Right after I finish recording this, some news will drop. But if not, next week's episode, I'll talk about that in the opening if we do get that news soon. But that's all I really have to talk to you guys about. If you noticed, it wasn't an ad in the beginning of the episode. I wanted to kind of wait to the end of the episode to kind of talk about that. After, it was 12 or so odd years being in partnership with InStockTrades.com, we've kind of come to into that kind of agreement, sponsorship or partnership agreement. I think it was just time, kind of going out on a limb by kind of parting ways. Just different things behind the scenes that I don't need to get into kind of happened that, where I just made the hard decision that maybe for where I'm trying to go with the show and the things that I want to do, I kind of had to, break away and kind of go out on a limb. The Patreon slowly but surely has been growing. Your guys' support has been awesome. I'm not exactly where I need to be with the Patreon support to I'm doing this a little bit early, but again, just due to some circumstances beyond my control behind the scenes, it kind of just made it time for me to make the tough decision. So I'm kind of going out on a wing in my prayer that your guys' support on the Patreon will continue to grow. And the support just in general for what I'm doing is going to continue to grow, where I hopefully don't regret the move. But like I said, it was just a lot of different things going on that was starting to make the partnership a little tenuous. And I just think it was time. They've been really the only main really, partnership I've had in the whole time in doing it. And, maybe that was a good thing. Maybe that was a bad thing. I don't know. But I want to try something different, and I want to try just it being crowdfunded and supported. So, the Patreon's there. Again, it is a PayPal link if you want to contribute via that way as well. If you guys want to sponsor an episode, you can contact me, comicbooksavant@gmail.com. And I just want to I want to give the show back to you guys. I've done that, and it seemed like at times I felt like even as a creator that I was kind of forcing that down your throat, but you kind of do what you kind of need to do to, keep the lights on. But I have faith in what I'm doing by creating the Patreon, and I want to focus on that more and the rewards on that, so you guys get value for when you do contribute to this, you believe in what I do, and you want to see it continue and grow and flourish, that you have something worthwhile for your contribution to it. I don't want you to give me anything without you getting anything back in return. That is why Patreon is so important for YouTubers and, that are growing, because ad revenue, it takes a while. You have to have 1,000, subscribers to even qualify and so much watch time on your YouTube channel to even qualify for AdSense. And once you do that, it still takes a while before you ever get an amount to register getting a actual check sent to you. So it doesn't just, it's easy money as some people try to make it out to seem. And it's even harder as a podcaster, because if you don't have merchandise, you don't have like affiliate links, or if you don't have something like Patreon where the people that listen and support your content can give back to you, it's not cheap to produce a quality podcast and or YouTube channel. You're coming out of your pocket for it. Excuse me. So, your support, everything you guys do means a lot to the survival of what we do. Not just myself, like people like Heath and other different content creators that you might watch on the daily. Like, it's a struggle where you constantly are, coming out of pocket, and you have visions of want to do more, but sometimes if the funds aren't there, that's why we put those things in place. Is to maintain and expand what we're doing. It's not to line our pockets. It's to make the content we truly want to make for you guys. So again, Support the YouTube channel if you haven't. Check it out. Like I said, I'm on the road to 1,000. I want to get 1,000. You guys have, I think sometimes as a content creator, I will not lie to you, as much work that I put into making these episodes and making these videos, I put a lot of work and I dedicate a lot of time to it. I'm a perfectionist. So if I feel like there's a lot of times certain stuff I've done on this podcast and YouTube channel that you guys will never see because I didn't feel like it was up to snuff, and I'd rather not put it out instead of putting it out and feeling like it's lackluster. I'm funny like that, and I always have been. It's just part of who I am. So you guys have, and I talked about this in the Spinner Rack Bros episode, that your confidence can wane sometime as a content creator because you don't always know if you're making the right decisions. And I struggled for 13 years. I've struggled with that as being a content creator doing this because this is more than just something I do. It is my life. Comic books, I've been reading comic books since I was 2 years old. I'm 43 years old. Comic books still haven't left my life. I couldn't leave it if I wanted to because that's how much it is a part of me. So I'm working hard to make this into something because I spent the first 10 years probably doing this in a fog and being mired in insecurity of what I was doing. Because of you people on the other end, you listeners, you become friends and family to me. You have shown me, and out of my own insecurity, that it is what I intended to be. So I started taking it more seriously over the past 3 years and trying to make it into something more stable, more sustainable, because you guys deserve it. And it's what I've always wanted it to be. So I know now because you guys shown me from your support. So I'm taking all this seriously. So all the choices I are making are to get this and us as a community where we need to be, and that's in the spotlight. So, anyway, the website's there, comicbooksavant.com, the Patreon's there, patreon.com, comicbooksavant, /comicbooksavant, the YouTube channel's there. All the links are on the website. And that's where I'm at. I don't even know what else to say. I'm getting emotional, and I don't know why, but that's all I have for you guys this week. I'm your host, James Harris. This is the Comic Book Savant. Like I said, this is going to be a big year. We're going to do it together, and I feel it. I feel it, and just throughout that, again, you guys have let me know by your support that this is meant for bigger things. So I'm going out on a limb and I'm severing one relationship because I feel like it's time, and I got to go out on faith, and I'm hoping I don't regret it. But again, that's why I've spent a lot of time recently building up the Patreon. Oh, the merch store. Also, let me say that too. It's still the t-shirts. It's the hoodies. I'm going to put a promo code out. It should be a sale or whatever going on by the time this episode drops. Check out the merchandise store. I'll put a link to the merchandise store in this episode, and you'll see stickers. I added stickers, a coffee mug, a hoodie, and the 2 t-shirt designs. Again, you can support by doing that, and also to take a moment because we've been doing something over in the Facebook group. It's Comic Book Savant, I think, discussion group. You can search for it if you request to be a member. As soon as I see it, I add you onto the group. We do just weekly conversations. I try to interact more and more with we got like 20 people or so in there. So we interact. I talk about things there that I'm planning on doing on the show and get your guys kind of feedback on it. So if you haven't checked it out yet and you're on Facebook at all, definitely hit up the Facebook group. Like I said, I'll put a link to that also in the posting for this episode. So if you see it anywhere on the if you go to the website to see the posting for the episode, you'll see underneath the episode the links to the Facebook group YouTube, all that stuff. I'll put all the links down there at the bottom for the episode, so you guys have access to it. And I will see you guys next week for another episode of Comic Book Savant. You guys take care, and you have a good week. See you soon.